I'm not saying anything. Can you tell if I'm live? Cool. Nice. Hey, if you're there, I'm just hanging out with my free streaming where I do work and try to get to know people who are my friends and viewers and just say hello. So I'll be working. If you come on, have nothing to do, please come say hi. I'm just kicking back, so I really want to have a time each week where I can just say hi to people. You can call in, you can write in. At some point, you'll be able to even come on. So I'll be here from 3 to 5. So if you're around, jump right in. I'm going to host a book chat club tonight. It's our first hour. It's my first one to host. And basically, I'm going to have a panel of people. It starts at 9. And I'm really excited about it. This book is very densely, the information in it, I said chapter 1 was going to be tonight. It turns out that, Robin DiAngelo wrote this, and it's really a great first time book if you're just starting to get to know, what's going on. And the only thing I didn't remember was Michael Eric Dyson wrote the foreword, which was obviously brilliant. So I have all those notes. The author did an introduction and she did notes from the author. So chapter 1's like 2 million pages in. So I wrote 7 pages in notes and I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do a quick intro for tonight's book chat club. So my quick intro, I had to make it very sparse. So I'm going to put the notes online for people to look. If you didn't get a chance to either buy the book, read the book, it doesn't matter. These notes are practically, I copied the book. So being the dork that I am. So I'm hanging out. Just going to go over some stuff, try to stop my kitty cat from meowing. And if you're around and want to say hi, please do. I would love it. So otherwise, I'll be working. All right. I am behind the times. And of course, I will be asking people to give me their opinions. If you're just hanging out and have a minute, I am doing so many top 10 videos that I want your feedback if you have a minute and, feel like giving it. So on that lovely note, if you're around, say hi. And oh my goodness, I hear a kitty cat. Hopefully that'll, poor little guy. So again, I'll put near the uh-oh. Somebody's not doing their job. I'll be back. Hey, Scott. I asked you to take him. He's up at your room and he's just outside the door meowing. I'm sorry, babe. I'm on right now. Guess I'm gonna get a lot of work done. Thanks. Okay. If you're watching, please say hello. I'm just here free streaming, doing my work, looking up stuff, and just trying to get to know people who watch the show. I did not advertise this at all. I do it every Sunday from 3 to 5. Tonight is the first meeting of the book chat club. So I'm getting prepped for that, and I'm just hanging out. So if you want to say hi, please do. Let's see here. Ah, there we are. I'm just hanging out, doing some work, trying to actually get some stuff done. I'm getting ready for my next video and the show tonight. It's a chat party book club. So I'm just here right now for a couple hours doing some work. If you're around and want to say hello, I made this time especially just to hang out and say hi to people. I'm gonna zoop. Oh, Via Noob, hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. I'm pretty psyched on it. I ended up getting like more notes than the book itself. So, oh my God, you're putting together furniture? I put together shelving, and it was like the easiest thing ever, and my hands were like killing me by the end. What are you putting together? You're just putting together something for your house or something? I don't want to interrupt you if you're like doing it, because oh my God, I have one more shelf to put together. But yeah, been there, done that. It's cool once you have the furniture, but while you're doing it, yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's nice. Oh, a long time ago in the olden days, I made one. Oh, hello. Palegi, I'm going to say your name wrong every time. Don't hate me for it. You should put phonetics up. I'm just hanging out, saying hi to people. Anyone can call in, say hi, just drop in. I'm trying to, I think I'm finally ready for tonight's book club meeting, the first one. But right now I'm thinking of my next video, and so just going to work on that. And anyone who wants to say hi or tell me what they're doing or how they are, jump right in and go for it. I would love it. Thanks for being here. You gotta Via Noob, you gotta tell me when your furniture's done. Maybe send a picture. So I am right now. What I'm doing is I'm going over. It's kind of embarrassing. 50 things that I wrote down for how to raise kids who care, who are citizens, who are global citizens and citizens of the world. And there are all these little things that parents can do. And a lot of them don't seem like they matter. But when they're all added up, it's basically a way to socialize your children to understand that you believe all lives matter a lot. I hate to steal that phrase, but because we we usually end up just continuing the cycle of racism. This is how you can break the cycle of racism at home. And there's a lot of things you can do. These are just suggestions that I know helped me personally. So this is more of a personal thing of what I worked on when I was raising my kids. So I thought I'd go over them. Some of them are going to get kicked off the list. Let's just put it that way. My first one, some of them are goofy, so I'm just going to say them. I'll stop giving a disclaimer and just say them. Always say hello to homeless people. Look them in the eye, and if you have something to give them, that will make their life just a little bit easier, then do so. This teaches your children that people's wealth does not determine their value, despite what our nation's values seem to be and say otherwise. In a rich nation, allowing people to go homeless is a choice. And that's the first one. So the second one, I'm just kind of reading through them. Tell your children, and obviously they have to be age appropriate, right? I mean, your 2-year-old isn't going to get this. Tell your children about capitalism. Tell them what's good about it, and tell them why it can lead to greed and to greed over humans and a poor quality of life for the masses if not kept in check. Explain the origins of police in America to your children. Tell them the truth about the culture of our police in our nation. Explain to them that it's not enough to simply partake. It's not enough to simply not partake in immoral or criminal activity. People must not turn a blind eye or remain supporters of others who are doing wrong, or they themselves are just as guilty. There's 50 of them, so I'm just reading them off, deciding which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm not going to keep. If anyone's listening and you have a suggestion. Number 4, explain why you think healthcare in a wealthy nation is a human right, not a privilege. That's just not a privilege. That's just for people who happen to have money. So I'm going to try to go over these again for a second. All right. The following are suggestions. The following are suggestions to raising kids who care about their fellow humans. Raising children for the global world and not just who love America only. I'm not sure how to explain that. It's like, the following are more like suggestions. The following are suggestions for raising children who care about their fellow humans. Some of them are so small and some of them are really big, but done over the lifetime of your child's childhood, I think they can really make a difference. And these are just ones that I personally liked. The first one is always say hello to homeless people. Look them in the eye, and if you have something you can give them, then do so. Just anything to make their life a little more bearable. This teaches your children that people's wealth does not determine a person's value, their intrinsic value. I mean, it's really tough because we're in a nation that values greed over, money, riches, and power and prestige over human life. So it's a tough one. So you have to set an example doing that. But I think that really does matter. Treat them like humans because that's what they are. And in a country that's wealthy, having people who are homeless is a choice. It's a cultural choice we've made. There's no reason for it. The next one, talk to your kids when it's appropriate about capitalism. Tell them what's good about it, what sucks about it. Tell them at an age-appropriate time, obviously, that it can lead to greed over human life and a really, really tough time for the masses. It can basically be a hardship for the masses of people who end up victimized by, when they end up victimized when capitalism becomes a lifestyle instead of an economic policy or, an economic philosophy or ideology. So definitely tell your kids about capitalism. Tell them what's good about it. Tell them what's tough about it and how it can lead to greed over human life. And explain how it can really harm the quality of life for the masses if left unchecked. Welcome to now. So another one would be explain the origins of our police in America. And obviously you do all these things at an appropriate time. You don't just, you pick when it's developmentally appropriate. Tell them what's good about police and what's not good about police, and be really honest. Explain the truth about our real racial history and the culture of how police came to be in our country. And this is a tough one, but it has to be done. You don't have to make it personal. It's a system. But it's really important that if you're going to raise kids who care about their fellow humans, that you raise them with the truth from a pretty young age. And you can do it developmentally so it's appropriate, so you're not scaring them. Let them know that one of the biggest problems with police is that even if you're not partaking in the racism, bigotry, inequality, if you're watching and doing nothing, you are condoning the behavior. And that's a really important thing for kids. Right now what I'm doing is I'm going over a video I'm thinking of making, and I want to know what people think. I'm naming 50 things. This is a lot. 50 things that you can do to raise kids who care. So if you have any comments, jump right in. I'm just doing this from free streaming. Anyone who wants to say hi is welcome to say hello. Jump in if you want to tell me what you're doing, how you're doing, what's happening. Go for it. I'm just doing this because there's really not too many people around who are saying things. And you're welcome to call in, but I'm going to keep going. And I have 50 of them, so I won't shut up. But I will be looking at if people write in or call, of course. So the number 5, teach your children about mental illness. Teach them that it is a medical condition like any other medical condition, and help them come to understand that in our society in America, we don't treat it as such, that it's stigmatized, and that it's wrong. Some people pretend it doesn't exist because they haven't experienced it or because they don't understand the science of it, which is a very new science. There are few complete sciences. Teach your children that technology and social issues and technology and hard science is ever evolving, and we're learning and growing every day, and we'll probably never reach a place where we know everything in our lifetime, but we have to use best practices. So teach your children that mental illness is a condition just like heart disease or diabetes is, but we know very, very little about it, and that is what makes it really tough. And it's stigmatized in the United States and in many other countries. So at the appropriate age, teach your children that. And one thing I think is really important, and I don't have it on the list, I should probably put it. Teach your children that a developmentally disabled person is not synonymous with a mentally ill person. And a mentally ill person on medication is not the same as a mentally ill person not on medication and not getting help. A lot of times medication can work. Sometimes it can't. It's just such a new science. But it's important that children aren't afraid of people. Being mentally ill does not mean you're an axe murderer or that you're going to kill yourself on the spot or kill anyone else. These are humans that were born with a medical condition that for some reason our society isn't overly interested in treating because it's not profitable or doing scientific research on. Yeah, we have it, but nothing like things that you can touch, see, and feel, or heart attack, diabetes. Mental illness is absolutely a real disorder. And no, it's not because your mommy and daddy beat you when you were a kid. If they did, that's probably not going to help your mental disorder, but no, it doesn't mean you're a shitty parent. And that's a huge stigma. We need to teach our kids because that's something that's keeping it a stigma. Number 6, teach them, I do have it, teach them the difference between, number 6, teach them the difference between developmentally disabled people and people who have mental illness. One means that a person is having trouble learning the way a lot of people learn, and the other one means that they have a medical condition that impacts their behavior and ability to manage stress. Number 7, teach them that a person's character is not attached to their wealth. Some of the richest human beings don't have a penny to their name. They're rich in personal integrity and love and caring. And values that are based on wealth are a human construct. Looking up to someone who is well off monetarily, but whose personal integrity is pretty much broke, is kind of speaks volumes to your character and no one else's. So teach your kids the difference between being rich monetarily and being rich in personal integrity. Number 8. Teach your children that it's a heck of a lot easier to be an idealist the wealthier you are. Basically, the wealthier you are, the easier it is to have these sanctimonious ideals. But in America, a country with capitalism on steroids, pretty much, if you're really, really impoverished, it's really, really much harder to keep ideologies that you hold to be true. Because if you don't have money in America, you're practically looked at as like a horrible criminal. So teach your kids the truth. And it goes against what our culture says. But I think it's really important for them to know for their own self-esteem and for raising kids who care. Number 10. And I'm not going to use all these, but I am going to use some of them. Teach your kids that just because they've never experienced something doesn't mean it's not absolutely real. I think that's a really important one over time. Teach them to take on, teach them to step into the shoes of other people and think about how they'd feel. It helps build empathy. And a lot of these are simple things that parents do anyway. But I just came up with a list of 50-something things to help your kids, to raise kids who care. These are 50 things to raise kids who care. And I'm thinking of making a video out of these, so anyone who's hanging out, if you want to tell me what you think, bring it on. Otherwise, I'm just basically practicing for the video and reading them out loud and whatever. I love talking to myself. Teach your children that every group of people has good people and bad people, and most people are somewhere in between. It's hard. At each developmental stage, they'll get better at seeing things in gray areas, but that's a really important thing. And all these are things that you choose to teach your children over time through example, to raise kids who care about their fellow humans. So, number 11. Teach your children, this is a toughie for a lot of people, teach your children that, number 11, teach your children that all living things are precious by never killing insects because you're simply too lazy to take the time to put them outside. Teach your children, we don't kill out of convenience, out of power. So it's kind of the principle of this. And that sounds, a lot of people are like, I kill a bug if I see it. Obviously, if it's like a disease that's going to get you, but this is really an important one, is to, for me, I thought of, this is probably one of my number one things. Teach your children that life, the inherent value of life is rich and high. Teach them that life is all life. Teach your children all life is inherently valuable. And you can do that at a very young age. If you see a bug, take it outside. Just, kindly collect it and, humanely collect it. It goes a really long ways. You can say all life's valuable, but unless you show your kids that, it's a tough one for them to kind of take on as their own. Let me see. Number 12. Explain to them why some people choose to be vegetarians and vegan. And this is a tough one, but explain to them so they understand the ideology. Number 13. Teach your children the truth about factory farming. And obviously all these things have to be presented in a very developmentally appropriate way. You want to scare the living crap out of your child. 14, teach your children to treat animals and pets with dignity and respect. That goes a long ways to raising children who believe that all life matters and is important and has intrinsic value. Number 15, role model and normalize having close friends who don't look like you. By having close friends who don't look like you, you are showing your children, once again, to be a citizen of the world. I guess you can put it that way. To be a citizen of the world. Number 16. Teach your children about redlining in detail so they understand that it was done purposefully and knowingly, and that it creates inner city poverty that resulted in making black and brown people not have equal access to the accumulation of wealth. Teach your children the truth about capitalism on steroids, basically, and that capitalism was never meant to be a lifestyle. It was meant to be a controlled means of economic, growth in America, and it's become a lifestyle. 17. And this is a toughie because you have to have a lot of self-control. To raise kids who care, don't glamorize drinking and drugs by telling cool stories at the dinner table about how cool it was when you got wasted and all that stuff. Because the problem is, that's in our culture, to kind of build a culture where people think that you're not enough by just being you. And that's one of the things that I've done. A lot of people won't do that. They don't believe in that. But little things like, reminiscing about the time you got wasted in front of your kids, it's giving them a message that you're saying no, but you're really saying it is kind of cool. Obviously, when they're older, you're not going to BS them if that's what you do. But it just, when they're little, it's good not to get them the idea that, and all this is a conversation about, I'm going to do a video pretty soon on how to raise kids who care. Basic. It really doesn't have a lot to do with systemic racism, except it kind of does. It has a lot to do with systemic racism, and it doesn't. And the reason I say this is because all these things are ways to get your children to believe that life has intrinsic value and to treat their fellow citizens and living things like they matter. So. Number 18. And not all of these are going to make the list, but if you're watching, please let me know what you think. Hey, Pat. How are you, Pat? I'm going over right now a list of 55 or more things. I'm just here for free streaming. Just if you want to say hi, if you want to call in and chat, anything. I'm going over a list because there's no one really around today. Well, now you are, but there's like couple people popped in and out. I'm going over a list of 55 things that people can do, and they're all little things, to make it so that their children are being raised as kids who care about their fellow humans, raising kids who care. And I haven't made the video yet. I'm just going over it. If you have any input, I'm on 20, but there's like 35 to go. Just little ideas that parents can do. Obviously, this is for white parents because I speak and teach to white parents, but things you can do to raise your children to be citizens who care about their fellow humans. And a lot of it has to do with the sanctity of life and how you treat and act towards living things around you. And they're all really simple things. It's kind of a lifestyle. Teach your children about systemic racism. Teach them that it's a system and not about any one person, but each person who is white has a responsibility to help dismantle it. And that's obviously developmental. You have to, don't do it when they're one. They're like, huh? Do it appropriately, but definitely teach them that. Well, teaching them the truth and not a lie about the true history. Yep, that's in there. That's in there too. You missed that. That was number Yeah, that's in there too. Absolutely. There's 50. I have 55 of them, but yeah, I definitely have that one in there. I have that in there twice. This is just my notes, basically. Um, ah, T. Rogers, hello. Hey, I'm just hanging out for free streaming, going over the. Actually, I'd love to get yours and Pat's input if you have time. If not, it's totally okay. I'm going over the 55 things that parents can do to raise kids who care. And it's basically, I'm going to make a series of videos. And they're not based on research. They're based basically on things that are intuitive and make sense. Some of them are better than others. None of them are anything outlandish. But they are habits parents can get into if they want to raise kids who believe in the sanctity of life. If they want to raise kids who believe that all lives truly do matter. Just kind of looking forward to the next generation, hoping that it will be better. Don't hate me. I might start all over. Because if anyone's hanging out, I don't know if you have time to hang out. I want to know what you think. Because that's why I'm just basically hanging out for a couple hours until it's time to do the book club tonight. So this is what I got. Number one. And you can totally tell me if you think these ideas suck or just whatever. The following are ideas that parents can do to raise kids who care, kids who truly believe in the sanctity of life and that all people matter. Number one, and these are just ideas. There's so many of them, and I might not include them all. Always say hello to homeless people when you're walking by. Look them in the eye, and if you have something that you can give them, have your child or you give them something. Don't act afraid to homeless people like they're going to do something to you. Obviously, use your judgment, but this teaches children that wealth is not based or determined. This teaches children that a person's wealth is not determined on how much money is in their pocket. And despite the fact that our nation teaches that and says otherwise our nation will teach your child that the wealthier people are the better people. And that's a total social construct, and it's not true. Some of the wealthiest people I know don't have $10 to their name, but they have incredible personal integrity. So if you want to raise kids who really care, you're going to have to go against the system a little bit, because the system says if you're not rich, it's your fault. So it's a really tough one. So tell me what you think about that. Teaching them the truth and not the lies about history. Pat, absolutely. Teach them better. That's it. That is. Marcus, in the shadows, welcome. Hello, I'm just hanging out, free streaming here, going over some ideas for a video I have. So it might be kind of a little bit boring, but I'd love your input, Pat, and anyone who can hang out. If you can't hang out, no worries, I get it. I'm just doing free streaming, and people who have time can say hi. I do it every Sunday, just so I can say hello to people who, people who watch my stuff. I love it, but I want to get to know them, as people. So you can call in or write in, and at some point you can even come on and just say hi. I'm literally just hanging out. Another idea for raising kids that care: tell them about capitalism. Tell them what's good about it. Tell them what's bad about it. Tell them that it can lead to greed over human life and can destroy the quality of life for the masses if left unchecked. And again, obviously, you tell your kids this at a developmentally correct age, and you tell them over and over again. You add to it as they get older. The next one: it's important that we as white people, obviously I teach to white people. Why would I teach to anyone else? It's like, how would I know what to say, or why would I know best? I wouldn't. So obviously all my stuff's, for white people, but anyone can learn from it or whatever. Teach your children about the origins of police in America, and teach them at a young age. Obviously be developmentally correct with it, and tell them the truth about our culture of police in this country. Explain to them that it's not enough to simply not partake in immoral or criminal behavior, that people must not turn a blind eye to this, or they're basically supporting this behavior. So it's really important to explain to them, because when you're little, you're real A to Z. You think police, you think they're horrible or they're wonderful. And the truth is, we need our kids to understand that we have systems in place in this country that are not good. And I think it's okay for kids to get that, at the appropriate level. If you have any comments on any of this stuff, say something, because I'm not going to include every one of these, and I'm going to but I'm probably going to make 3 videos out of all these because there's like 55. Here's another one. Explain why, okay, there you go. Teach your kids and explain to them why healthcare is a human right, and that for a wealthy nation, healthcare for all is a choice. To deny healthcare for all is a choice, and a moral choice. I think that's really important. You can start with the bullying concept. That's excellent. Yep, teach them to stand up to people who are mistreating because they're different. That's amazing. That's a great idea. And that, when they're little, you start them with that. Exactly. And then as they get developmentally older and older, you work on, more kind of intense, in-depth things on the systemic level. Awesome idea. Yeah, there was a disabled little girl who lived up our street. Now, my mom was a special ed teacher like I am, and like you are, T, using books on their level too. Yep. Starting them with, this is exactly what I wanted. Starting them with the concept of bullying is something very kind of true to them as a little, kindergartner, first grader. They can get this kind of stuff. They can get it. And what we used to do, and my mom never told us this, but my sister and I at recess, people would make fun of. Her name was Cynthia. And Cynthia had a very rare disorder. I don't know what it was called, but we were friends with her, and she was developmentally disabled, but absolutely she could learn and was really nice. She had no behavioral problems at all. But she looked really different. She was very, very big. All her features were huge, and she was a couple feet taller. It was part of the disease, or the disorder that she had. And she was born with it, and people used to make fun of her, and we would basically be her little protectors. And I'm not trying to say, go teach your kids to be saviors of the world, unless you want them to be, but it was something we liked to do, because she was our friend, and she lived in our neighborhood, and we played with her, and other kids were horrible to her. And I remember one day, a couple of years after we all went our own ways and, started going to different schools and stuff, her mom came down to our house. And I was really little. I was probably 8 or 9. And she told us that we had changed Cynthia's life. And we were like, huh? It was like the coolest thing. We weren't trying to change anyone's life. We didn't even know what that meant. But my big sister and I were like, wow, because we didn't see the bigger picture. We didn't know that's, I don't know, all we were doing is she was the friend we played with. And people were so rotten to her, and we're like, we're not going to let him get away with it. So we would tell him, leave us alone. I'm sure we were like, ooh, so mean. But we were really little. And it's something that stuck with me. Somehow my sister and my older one, got that. So teach your kids exactly what you said, is to never stand and do nothing in the face of injustice of any sort. And I know we did that, and I guess my mom somehow got that into our heads. I don't know how, but great call, T. Rogers. Maybe that's how it started. I don't know for my family, but I think it's a really important skill to raising kids who care. Marcus in the show. Did you hear about the parent holiday in a new university where parents dress the children in blackface as active activists? I saw the video today. It was so disgusting. I've heard of that. It's totally insane and obnoxious. Send me the video if you can, if it's handy, obviously. That's interesting. I saw that, but it was like news long ago. I haven't seen it recently. Oh my God, I don't even get it. That's the something perm holiday in New Jersey. Ay. Those New Jersey people. Please send me information on it, or I will totally look it up. I'm guessing it's recent. Long time ago, I saw this classroom do that, and it was appalling. It was like it was a couple of years ago though, but not recently. I can look that up. Let me look it up right now. And Pat, absolutely. Just because someone's different doesn't mean they don't have feelings. People get confused when they're little about that. That's a really good point, Pat. Thanks. I'm adding all the stuff in. You do realize everything you guys say it's going to be in the videos. So I appreciate this. What I do is I'll just take a copy of all the stuff and stick it in. I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, let me look up. So let me look this up right now where you can see it black. You said New Jersey classroom or parents? It was in 20. Oh, geez. I found it. Didn't take long. Yep, when you think of racism, white supremacy is exactly. Great call. Oh, my. Okay, I got this video. I don't know if you can hear this or not.
The survival of the Jewish community in ancient Persia. We do have a troubling costume controversy surrounding the holiday of Purim, when children usually dress up in historical characters to celebrate the survival of the Jewish community in ancient Persia.
In Lakewood, New Jersey, a small group of children was photographed dressed in blackface and afro wigs. News 4's Phil Lipoff joins us live with the details. Phil.
Guys, as you point out, there is a large Jewish population here in Lakewood. Most we spoke with today say they do not want the actions of a few kids to define the whole group. And David, as you point out, traditionally when kids dress up on Purim, they dress up as characters from the Purim story, from the Bible, like Esther and Haman, not Black Lives Matter members. The pictures were taken Friday. Small group of white children, 4 from what we can tell, dressed like this at a Purim celebration here in Lakewood.
Listen, that took some effort. For you to have on dashikis, afro wigs, and blackface, that took effort.
Effort also to write Black Lives Matter on the back of their shirts. A Lakewood woman says she took the photos and posted them on her Facebook page. Fred Rush is the president of the Ocean County NAACP. He drove over to where the pictures were taken to see for himself. He says he saw the costumes and told the parents how they made him feel.
I just say this is offensive. And I would hope you would take the time to teach your kids, because it's offensive not only to me but to a lot of people.
Their reaction?
He says, oh, no problem. I understand, but that was it.
However, it was enough to force a virtual school board meeting on the subject.
We don't know if it's Lakewood children.
Michael Inselbuck is general counsel for Lakewood. He's also Jewish. While he doesn't know the identity of the children involved, he did explain that Purim is a holiday marked every year by kids dressing up. However, he made no excuses for dressing like this.
Unacceptable. And we can have something, even if it's only 1, 2, 3, 4. It shouldn't happen at all.
So while everyone agrees the costumes were offensive and should never be worn again, especially to celebrate a holiday, the question is, how do you make that happen? Fred Rush says it's all about education.
Teach your kids. Let them know that what they're doing today could be offensive to other people. That's what I do with my kids.
Well, the school board agrees. While there is no way to punish these kids, nor would they want to in this case because it wasn't on school grounds, they do say that they would like to talk to the kids' parents, explain to them why this was so offensive and hurtful. We're live in Lakewood. Phil Lipoff, News 4 New York.
Okay, people, I'm sorry. If the parents don't realize why that's offensive, I take offense to that. That's ridiculous. As Jewish people? Are you kidding me? Jewish people, of all people, know what it means to have your group persecuted over years and years and years. And that's ridiculous. Part of the problem is this, and this is just my take, and tell me what you think. Yeah, I saw a clip of that, but I didn't realize it was widespread. The one I was thinking of was years ago. Oh my God, it was in a classroom. It was horrible. Done by the teachers, the kids all dressed up. It was just incredibly obnoxious. But this one, I saw it, but I thought it was just 2 kids, like random 2 kids. The children were totally innocent is the sad part. Yeah, they didn't know. They're babies. They think they're doing something right. This is what I mean. Parents are the ones to blame. This was intentionally done. Yep, 100%. Here's the problem. It's so funny because I'm going to be talking about this tonight at the book club chat, because it's part of the White Fragility book. Is that this book is written for white progressives. Yes, you heard me correctly. This book is written for white progressives who think they're not racist and who think they get it. Because once you think you're not racist and you're white and you think you get it, all learning ceases to exist, because you don't have to learn, you already get it. And that is a totally the opposite. So her premise to the book is basically that the people who do the most damage are white progressives, to not dismantling systemic racism, because we think we know everything already. I bet those parents would swear on their grave, their parents' grave, we're not racist. And they dress their kids up in blackface for a Jewish holiday, and put Black Lives Matter, and put these wigs on their kids' heads. My God, they don't get it at all. I mean, they're way low, but they would be the first to say, "Oh my God, no, we're not racist." It's the ignorance is real. Yes, racism is taught. 100% T. Rogers. Great call. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't realize it was a full story. I saw, and I was like, oh God, some parent, is basically raising their kid racist. I didn't realize it was like, wow, dang, that's huge. Thank you. Let me just find, I'm going to go back to, not that. Let's just find it. Where'd it go? Oh, wait, this is it. Yes. Okay. Let me just, boop, there it is. Okay, where was I? I'll keep doing this. If you guys can hang, if not, obviously do your thing. The next thing, because I'm getting great tips from you. Thank you. So the last one, what you did was explain to raising kids who care. Explain why you think healthcare in wealthy nations is a human right, and not just those who have money. Explain to your kids why you think healthcare for all in a wealthy nation is a human right. It shows how and what they think about black people. Pat, it sure does. But in a way, I'm questioning that. Do you really think they're that, are they that ignorant that they think that's a nice thing to do? Or were they trying to be rotten? See, I'm confused about what they know. To me, it kind of made me think, it just shows they don't know shit about it. And they think they do. Or on the other hand, maybe they were trying to get their kids to be racist, and I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask them. But to me, it wasn't clearly that they are purposely, but part of the problem is it doesn't matter. Racism doesn't have to have intent. I mean, according to all white people, no one's racist, so they would never. So, I mean, racism to hurt or harm or be awful does not have to have intent. It has to be friggin' racist, So that was a horrible thing they did. What the parents know, I don't know. I don't know. I would definitely, if I saw kids like that, I would, at an appropriate time, confront their parents and say, look, do you understand that I'm not sure why your children are doing this, but this is incredibly racist and incredibly offensive. Which it's not really a word I use, but it's obnoxious, and I would explain to them the history of blackface. Kim, they know, and it shows they just don't care. It's the intent. Kim, okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know people who would do something like this. So I do know people who would think they know what they're doing because they're not racist. So they'd say, yeah, we'll show great pride and we'll dress our kid in blackface. And basically they're so ignorant they can't see straight. It's still totally racist as fuck. It's just, I don't know. These parents, maybe you're probably right. I don't know. I'm asking you. It's the subtle things. Yeah, and Ramses. By age 3 or 4, everyone knows it's better to be white. Absolutely. I have 2 of those videos up, actually. Me too, Kim. I totally side-eye the parents. Yeah, I mean, obviously their parents. Something's not right. It's ignorance. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is it somebody we're going to use our kids to be racist as hell? I don't know. Or is it they think they're doing something good and they're just so damn ignorant they can't see straight? I don't know. Either way, it's still terrible. But I think in the great scheme of things, knowing that does matter in how you teach them. And you can tell, if you tell them and they're like, oh my God, they feel like morons. That's one thing. If they're like, shut up and buzz off, then there we are. It says it all. So, and it's not for anyone to teach but other white people. You're not responsible, if you're a black person, to teach these ignorant, extremely overtly racist people who do things like that. I'm just kind of curious, like, what could they be thinking? The sociologist in me comes out. I don't know. I don't know. And Ramses, absolutely. In fact, there are 2 videos up on my site right now that show the social experiment using the black doll, white doll to these 3 and 4-year-olds. And it was the same study that was done using, it was used in Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, to have a Supreme Court decision to stop separate but equal in education. They used these studies that have been replicated over and over again, and they're always the same. I have one up with adorable little black kids that's actually heartbreaking. Actually, dang, I don't know where it went. Will show you. This is just crazy talk. Let me just move this right over to here. I'll bring it up. And then the other one, they showed Latinx children. And it was very interesting. These little kids, a lot of them were really dark little children with like brown, dark skin. And one of them at the end, I don't want to give it away. She says it all right there. Let me just see if this will come up. I'll show you my, they're really short videos, but they are impactful. If you haven't seen that, check this out. Let me just, if you have not seen, and you have to be able to see this. I don't know if I'm going to have it on there or not. Let me see here. Okay, sorry, it's going to take me a second, of course. Videos and the oldest. Okay. It's right here. Let me just get it so where you can see it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Check it out. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm just going to move it over here. If that's possible. Check this out, you guys.
Which doll is the black doll? And which one is the white doll? Which doll
Can you see this?
is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll?
You know what? I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me try again. I can't tell if you can see it or not. Boop. Okay. Oh, you can only hear it? Okay, I'm going to make it so you can see it. Okay. Can you see it now?
Which doll is the black doll? And which one is the white doll? Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll?
Look at her face. It's just like...
And why is that doll pretty?
Because she's white and she has 2 eyes.
She has blue eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Which doll looks most like you?
This one is...
Yeah, which one looks like you?
kills me.
And that one,
Okay.
white doll.
Okay, people. It's just absolutely incredibly heartbreaking. Incredibly heartbreaking. No clue what I'm doing here. It's like stuff's everywhere. I don't even know if I'm in the shower. Let me just get rid of doop. Doop. Okay. Oh my god. I am the worst with this technology. What did you guys think? You have something in your class like that. Oh my god. Oh. It's crazy heartbreaking, and it's awful. These kids. And then I have the other one I did well. Let me show you the one on Latinx kids. Very interesting. She got upset when she wanted the white doll, and the only doll that was left was the black doll. She's black. Teachable moment for me. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm up a total proponent for all children should have dolls of every color. Absolutely. It shouldn't even be something that is spoken about. It just is. Like, that's normal. My parents did that with us, and we didn't think twice about it. That's how life was. Then, when we saw real life, we were like, whoa, it made us kind of shocked. So, that wasn't how life really was. My older sister's husband is from India, and he's as dark as many black people, African American people. Kids are, obviously a mix of kind of my color, and then a very dark brown. Little girl is gorgeous, dark skin, and it's to make a point how beautiful she is every day. Oh, that I'll tell you. I think I've told you guys this before, but oh, God. Anyway, I've told before. I'm not going to retell the story, but T. Rogers absolutely. It's like these kids need to know society is wrong, and one of the things I'm really stressing in my work that I do is to let people understand that we have a white person problem in America, not a black person problem. And I think the rhetoric has always been like, oh, this is a black person's problem. This is a black cultural problem, which is such bullshit. It's not even funny. No, this is a white systemic racism problem that we've purposefully, knowingly done all these things. But people don't understand. They like to label it a black problem. Well, black people have to deal with it, obviously. But this is our doing. This speaks to our inhumanity. And I don't know how you get kids to understand this in a society that lies to you. This is goes back to how blacks were made to think that they were not of great value. Absolutely, yeah. And any kid by this certain age gets like this, and this is the study that forced the Supreme Court to stop separate but equal. This is one of the studies that they showed. So it's very powerful, and obviously you can do it over and over again, and not a freaking thing's changed. I mean, obviously, depends on your sampling, but check out this one. This one is for kids that are Latinx. I'll try to get it so you can see it and hear it. This is very troubling because, well, you'll see. I'll show you. Incredible. I just found this one most recently, and this thing can be replicated over and over again. Sadly, and it comes out pretty much the same. Let me just get this on. Okay. Let me get this on. It's in Spanish, but there's little captions, and you'll figure it out. I'm going to add a source. Okay. Whoa, no, I'm not. All right, so check this one out. It's a little different, but kind of the same. A little different, but kind of the same. Okay. This is, and it's in Spanish. These children, I don't know where they're from, but these children are, they might appear to be black children, but they speak Spanish. They are from a Spanish-speaking country. They're Latinx. I'm almost positive. So check this out. This experiment has been done. You know, the validity of experiment, you can do it over and over again and get the same results. It's pretty damn valid. Well, again, this is the social experiment that was used in Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, in our Supreme Court decision that stopped separate but equal for schooling. So check it out.
È nera. Quale delle due è bella?
Questa.
Qual è quella bella?
Watch this
Qual
little
è
boy.
quella brutta? E qual è quella buona? Quale è cattiva?
Look at that little guy.
Quale è buona?
Lei.
Perché è buona?
Perché ha gli occhi celesti.
Quale è cattiva? Perché è cattiva?
Perché tutto è tutto nero.
E qual è la bambola che ti somiglia di più? Quale bambola è nera?
È offeso.
Chi?
Tu.
Perché?
Perché mi hai chiamato nero.
Perché ti offendi?
Mi offendi perché?
Bob had
So, wow. The last part, I don't know if you saw that. The little girl said, you offended me, to the, person doling out the instructions. And he said, why? Why did I?
On Friday,
Oops.
the Senate came to
Sorry
a
about that.
chaotic standstill for
Why?
nearly
Once
12
again.
hours as Republicans, Democrats, and President Biden frantically tried to win the support.
Sorry about that. And the little girl said, you insulted me. You called me black. Damn. That's why they put that at the very end. Wow. Was that telling? Talk about telling. I don't know if you could see that from there, if it was really small or not. But the little girl is this Latinx child who looks, they look so ashamed. It's not right. I know. It's, what really upset me was the little boy with the natural hair that was just beautiful and everywhere. He just his whole body just crumpled to the just crumpled down. He got it. It was a well-made video, because obviously they had a lot of kids to choose from, and they picked the ones that were the most damn. This is the reality of our America. I don't need to tell you that. But that's why white people need to get this. So, yeah. Oh, the little, yes. This little girl, the little girl with the headband in the bright, I think it was red. I mean, gorgeous model-esque child. And you could see it in her eyes. She was just like, which one looks like you? All of them were just like, I mean, these are little kids. These kids are real young. No one's told them they're bad. They don't have to be told. Society's told them. And it's disgusting. And I want to live long enough to see that change. I really do. It's unconscionable, and I consider it personally, and I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. I consider it a crime against humanity, an ongoing one, systemic racism. To do that to children is unconscionable. T. Rogers, it's embedded in our culture as black people. My daughter is dark skinned. I am intentional about teaching her that she is gorgeous, because she is. I'm so glad that, she's so lucky to have you. And I mean, we're the same way in our family. It's just only, that's why I want to do a couple. It seems almost arrogant for me to try to do like a parenting video, like, oh, what do I know, you know? But for white people, I think I know more than the average white person, because the average white person doesn't know shit, okay? And I've dedicated myself to learning this, and I will till the day I die. But, I mean, it would be great if everyone was where I'm at and I was the one who needed to be taught everything, because all the basics, because everybody knew, like, no, everyone knows that, that's all, you know? But right now, we are the bar is set so low. Oh my God. T. Rogers, I'm a lighter-skinned black person, but I don't want her to think that I'm better because I'm lighter. Exactly. I know, it's so crazy. It's just so crazy. It's societal. It's like you're working against society. It's so hard because, like, they have all the power. They have all the time and the resources and the power. They've been doing this for centuries. So it's like being one person working against society is so hard to try to raise a child. I'm not very light, but I'm the lightest one in the household, and I actually think dark-skinned people are the most gorgeous. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. Also, the subliminal messages that are misleading as well as taught our children to choose this type of behavior. Absolutely. Oh, the subliminal messages are crazy. Like, Pat, I think I told you, and absolutely, T, that's when I was little, and my parents weren't doing this on purpose. They didn't know about all this stuff. Every night, they would watch the freaking news at night, at 11 at night in LA. And I would sneak out and be like, what are they watching, you know? And every night there'd be, and it was way worse than it is now. It's bad now, but they didn't even try then. They were trying purposefully, because that's what our society does. We uphold the system of racism, obviously. They would have basically a criminal lineup of black men in cuffs on TV, on News at 11 in LA. And my parents would be watching the nightly news. And I would see, as a little kid, I didn't know what they were watching. I was a baby. I'd see 3, 4, 5, 6 black people in cuffs with this little line over their eyes, like, ooh, that now you can't tell who they are. You could tell they were black people. I didn't know what a black person was when I was little. I had no idea. I honestly had no, children don't think like that. You have to be taught to get that. I didn't. I was a slow child. But that's the problem. It's in subliminal stuff. Everyone knows the obvious stuff is bad, but they just don't see the subliminal racism. Absolutely. That's why I really, at the cost and the chance that people think, oh, this arrogant white lady thinks she knows how to raise kids. Well, no, I don't. But I do know a little bit more about how to raise children who value and care for their fellow citizens. And a lot of these things are common freaking sense, but I think they're worth saying. So I am going to kind of go out on a limb and do a couple videos on, and obviously they're for white people, but anyone can, they're common sense. So that's why I was going over those today, because I wanted to know what you guys think. And if you have, and you've already given me great ideas to add. The next one, and it's not just about racism, it's about everything, because it all adds up. But T. Rogers, I get what you're saying as much as I can. It's a struggle. It's us against the system. And the system has been doing it a lot longer than we have. And they have a lot more resources and power and ability to spread the word. Yeah, I'll just stop at that. I was going to say something a little bit. All right. Here's the next one. If you guys have to go, I totally get it. I just, or if you have anything else you want to talk about, I'm thrilled to. It doesn't have to be this. I was just doing this because no one was really around. And it's something I have to eventually go over. My next one's teach your children, and this is how to raise children who care about their fellow humans and the sanctity of life. Teach your children that mental illness is a medical condition, and that we are all at the very beginning of understanding it. Some people pretend it doesn't exist because they haven't experienced it or because they don't understand the science behind it. There are very few completed sciences. We're all making breakthroughs in understanding science at all times, and that just because we don't understand a science doesn't mean it's not real. Mental illness is a medical condition, just like heart disease or diabetes is. But in our society, we blame the victim, and we treat we treat mental ill people like they have the plague. How do I know this, you might ask? Well, first of all, because I'm alive on the planet. And secondly, because sadly I've had tons of experience with it in my family and extended family. But the truth is, because we don't have a mental health care system in the United States. We don't have a comprehensive one. We have one for wealthy people. If you have insurance, you will pay a lot. But you can get some, but not complete care, not good care, not thorough diagnostic care, not a chance in hell. I know this to be true, and if you think our physical health system is horrific and for profit, mental health is not profitable. So we don't have one unless you're rich and can just pay. So that is how I know that we consider it a taboo, horrible stigma, because we have nothing for it and we're perfectly fine with it. In general, if you have mental illness, good luck with that in America, unless you're wealthy. And I find that to be just, anyway, I'm not going to put this in the video, but I'm just like on my high horse here. The next one I have, teach your children the difference between a developmentally disabled person and a person who has mental illness. One means that they're having trouble learning and that they might have a very high IQ, but in certain areas, if they're learning disabled, see, it's another thing. I'm jumping subjects, but teach your children what it means to be learning disabled. People think it means you're dumb. No, it actually is the opposite. If you are dumb, you don't get into the program. You have to have a discrepancy between your IQ and your abilities. In other words, your IQ has to be high enough that you should be doing much better than you are. In that case, you qualify. If your IQ is and you're doing then you're supposed to be doing So people have the wrong idea about what a learning disability is. The people have to have a normal IQ or above. Usually it is above because you won't qualify for the program. And that's something that needs to be taught as well. But also that mental illness and developmental disabilities are not the same. I think that's something to teach our kids. Number 7, teach your kids, to raise kids that care, teach them that a person's character is not attached to their wealth. And our society goes against us with that big time. Some of the richest humans I know don't have a penny to their name. They're rich with integrity and greatness from within. Indomitable spirit, incredible personal integrity, motivation, goodness. You can ask them what's in their bank account and they'll probably not have anything. But our values, our cultural values are really screwed up in America. So we have to work against that with our kids. Working against what they're being told is that if they're wealthy, you look up to and bow down to them. I don't do that. My kids don't do that either. If you're a wealthy, rich person, I want to know, what have you done for other people? And I'm not trying to be nasty, but that's all I want to know. What have you done to help make the world a better place? Not how many yachts you own and how many, no. That's self-indulgent and I want to know, what have you done to make this world a better place? Plenty of people can be both. I think it's probably more rare than common, but I don't know. I have never wanted to raise kids that were, enthralled with the wealthy. I want to raise kids that are enthralled with somebody who takes their money and makes incredible social programs and does things to help people who have less than them because of systemic racism or systemic economic impoverishment or systemic bigotry, just everything like that. So that's one of them. To teach your children that being rich with personal integrity should be valued way up here but in our society it's not. Number 8, this is a strange one. Teach your kids, that It's a lot easier to be an idealist when you're wealthy. A lot easier. That people who are considered poor in this country struggle 1,000 times over more than wealthy people, and often work much harder as well. And we keep that lie going. Oh my God. My next one. Teach your children that just because they haven't experienced something doesn't mean it's not real. That we, as a human being, will not be privy to every experience there is. That's why we need to put ourselves in other people's shoes. And these are all just basic common sense things to raise kids who care about their fellow humans and the sanctity of life. So jump in with any, you might have some that I already have, since there's like 55 of them I wrote down. I've been giving this a lot of thought, but tell me what you think. Number 11. Number 10. Teach them that every group of people has good people and bad people, and that most are somewhere in between. The truth is, the black and white, or the A to Z, or the, whatever you want to call it, thinking, great to horrible. The truth is, a lot of those people are kind of somewhere in the middle and with different things, and depending on what your values are. But we are all humans, and I think that's kind of a developmental thing. A lot of kids, when they're really little, they think black or white. They're naughty or they're perfect. Here's something I did, and I really want to know what you think about this. Because this is something I just made up. I think it's served me well. I don't know what you think. And also, I'm not afraid of insects and bugs. But teach your children that all living things are precious by not killing insects that are in your house. Bam, bam, bam. It takes effort. Taking them out to, I used to tell my kids, we're not going to kill it. No. We take it out to be, and this is a little goofy, but tell me what you think, out to be with its mommy and daddy, because it probably is looking for them. And as little kids, I believe, hi, I am Legend. I'm just kind of hanging out and talking to people about a new video I'm going to make and getting your opinions. Thanks for saying hi. I know. Sorry, I kill insects in my house. Yeah, and you know what? It's just something I did. It's not for everybody. It's something I did because I wanted to really push the sanctity of life, all living things. And as a white person, I'm coming from a whole nother place where my children are going to buy into the whole society's white is right, white is right, white is right. So I'm pushing even harder back on it, doing some of these little goofy things. And a lot of people don't do it. You don't have to do every one of these, of course. But sometimes for white folks, I know, you're such a sweetheart. I knew you would. This has been really important for me, that yes, you're scared. Okay, and obviously, like if it's a tick or something, or it's going to disease you or whatever, do what you got to do. I'm talking about in general. I don't just go, kill it. If my kids started killing an ant, I'd be like, excuse me. Like, I'd be, oh no, we don't do that. When they're little, like, oh no. And so I'm trying to teach them, it truly does teach the sanctity of life to very, very young children. That teaches them a general idea. Especially spiders, because spiders kill other insects. Oh, I know, huh? Tell a scared child that, though. I know. It's like, my daughter takes cups, and when she finds them, she puts them on top of them, so there's like cups all over sometimes. And then she comes and gets me. But I am Legend, totally. So you know what I'm talking about. It's just, and I know T. Rogers, of course you do too. It's just a little thing. It's just, all these little things add up to teach your children. You don't have to say anything. You just do it. And if you value it, they'll end up valuing it for the most part, over time. Right, ladybugs are insects. I try not to kill them, but a roach, nah, it's going down. You're funny. Yeah, well, I know what you mean. We live in the country, like the forest. So, there's bugs everywhere. And I'm not fake, but it's so beautiful. So it clings to my face. It clings to my face. But when my kids got older, don't quote me, I swear I'll deny it. I used to tell them, you kill that, when they were older enough to know I was kidding. You kill that spider, and its papa is going to come cling to your face at night. It's to tell them. They're like, okay, fine, you know. So we always put them out. We always put them out to their families with a little skill pop. It's work, but you know what? It's just something that's meant a lot to me. I'm not going to go on and on about it, although I might. But so that's something I've tried to do, and I think that's definitely one of the harder ones. On that same kind of ideology, explain to your children why some people become vegetarians. Some kids have never even heard of that. Like, what? They've never heard of being a vegetarian or a vegan. Explain to them why some people do it. Not to guilt them out, but just, that's something I'm going to include in it. It just makes them open their mind up. Teach your children when it's appropriate, because this is so terrifying to me personally. Tell them about the truth about factory farming and what we do to animals, because we don't believe that they're sentient, and or because we're sickos, or because of capitalism, or whatever you want to. Here's another one. Treat your pets, and these are all obvious stuff, but I think they are worth listing. If you raise your kids like this over time, you're going to raise kids who care about others, who care about people who don't look like them, who care about things that don't act like them. It's just, I think it's like a really generic way to kind of, teach your kids in the ways that should go, and they will not depart from it. Yeah, it's, and it doesn't always work, but boy, it's pretty, even if you have a kid with mental illness or something, those still, just because you might have this or this disorder, or you're disabled or developmentally disabled, you can learn all this stuff. It is oftentimes developmentally disabled people can grasp this stuff, integrity, personal integrity, indomitable spirit, just as well as anyone else. Not every area of their life is disabled. So this is really important. Here's another one. Treat the pets with dignity and respect. When I was a little girl, I was 4 years old, I saw my parents' best friend take a newspaper and smack the living crap out of their dog, and he cried. And I was appalled. I was like it was, I'll never forget that. I was like 4, and I started crying. I was terrified. I never looked at that man the same again after he did that to that pup. And I get it. Some people think, you gotta teach your dog not to go potty in the house. And he was smacking the thing with a newspaper, and it was crying and crying. And I was like, how could anybody do that to a living thing like that? And I was scared of him the rest of my life. I don't have contact with him now, but I mean, it's like, these things matter, people. They really do. Role model and normalize having friends that, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, and that was 50 years, 45, 50 years ago. It was a long time ago. But I will remember that till the day I die. I was traumatized by what he did. I didn't know he was going to do it. I had no idea. He just, all of a sudden, he started screaming and smacking this animal, and role model having, and totally normalize having close friends who don't look like you, who don't dress like you, who don't talk like you. Make it normal. You don't have to point it out. Look, she has an accent. She is from China, or whatever. No, you don't have to be like all like that, but just make it just the norm. It goes a long ways. Number 16, teach your kids about redlining in detail. Explain to them that, so that they understand. Obviously, when they're little, you can't really do it. Nobody explained to me when I was little. I lived in LA. In a suburb, I would go by some of the areas that have really, really beat up infrastructure, and I had no idea why. And I was little, and I'd looked, and I was like, I used to think to myself when I got a little bit older, and I remember thinking this, and this is like, because nobody was there to teach me, and I didn't get it. Yeah, Pat, absolutely. As a special ed teacher, abusive animals, like real, true abusive animals, not accidental, like I squeezed it, but is one of the indications. Yeah, absolutely true, and that's been noted. I'm sure. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Right, absolutely. And I also had a student in my class who was an animal abuser. they left the stuff on it at the bottom of this thick of a pile. But when I was a special ed teacher, he abused animals, and that is a very high indicator of just a major disturbed child, mentally ill, disturbed child. It's really scary. So nobody told me. I thought when I was a little kid, I thought that, why do those guys always want to live together in areas that don't have really cool, like, stores and houses? Why do they want to do that? I don't get it. They want to live together so badly that's what I didn't know. I was a moron, And nobody taught me. So the whole time, it's kind of interesting. As a kid, I never looked down upon them. I just didn't understand, why would they want to do that? Like, I just assumed everything was a choice because I'm privileged. I thought everything was, like, people just choose. I didn't realize some people have to live there because they've been red light into it. Sometimes they have to live there because it's the only place, or, I didn't know about redlining. I didn't know any of these things. So I was always kind of like, why would they want to do that? How weird. But it was an innocence, not a ew, look down upon them. Just like, I didn't get it because nobody taught me. So we got to teach our kids that if you don't teach them, they're going to pick it up from society, or they're going to just take a guess. So it's tough. Here's one that maybe you won't agree with. I'm not sure if I'll put this in because this is kind of sanctimonious. Don't glamorize drinking and drugs at the dinner table with your kids by telling cool stories of the olden days, where, you and da-da-da-da went and got wasted and how fun and cool it was. That rubs off really big time on them. You can tell them to stay away from drugs. You can tell this, but you do that at the dinner table, and it won't work for everybody, but basically you're glamorizing it. And that's a really big, people want to know, why is stuff the way it is? Yeah. Like when I was little, I didn't get it exactly. And so I'm not being sanctimonious, like, oh, don't drink, don't do that. Do what you want to do, but don't glamorize it to little kids. Like, you don't think they get it? They might not know what you're saying, but they know if you're talking about something that's cool. So it's kind of an accidental danger. I used to tell my husband, like, oh my God, at the dinner table at a family gathering, I would say, they better not do this when we have kids, because they would do it with the other, my husband's the very youngest in his family by a lot, but, I would be like, they better not do this to our kids, glamorize this shit, because it's starting pissing me off a little bit. So that's where I got that one from. What we fail to realize is that kids are like a sponge, and they do what they see their parents do. Absolutely. Yep. 100%. I am legend. I agree not to glamorize drink, drug. Right. And you can accidentally do it. Like, I don't think you should, like, pretend it doesn't exist, but don't. I mean, I'd sit at the table when I was younger, and my husband's family, and they didn't do it on purpose. They're nice people, but they would, remember when we all, and I'm thinking, your kids are listening, little kids, 4, 5, 6. You're basically telling them, don't do drugs, but it's really freaking cool, So you're making it like it's the cool kids do it. It's what the cool kids do. And that, I think, is kind of like accidental. Like, maybe even, I don't know. But I think white parents need to teach their children about systemic racism directly. Teach them that it's a system. It's not about any one of us. Maybe those kids can teach their parents. Sorry. Because most white parents don't know this. They make it all about them. It's all about them. When it's like, no, the opposite. It's not about you. It's about the system that you live in and benefit from. So it's a toughie. But if we can get kids to understand, the racism we're talking about is not the kind that, like, duh, everybody knows that's like a sicko, like, burning crosses and lynching people. It's like, no, duh. We're talking about a system that runs on its own with our blessings. And obviously, at a certain age, you have to do this. You can't do this when they're like babies. They won't know what you're talking about. Teach them the definition of privilege. Tell them that it's the unearned benefit that comes because you were born with a certain skin tone. Doesn't mean you're rich. Doesn't mean you're happy. Doesn't mean you don't have many problems. Doesn't mean that you don't work hard in life. It means that your skin tone will not cause others to think less of you. It means your skin tone is not one of the problems that makes people treat you like shit. That's all it means. Privilege is just off the top. I agree with Dr. Robin on assessment of education and media being the biggest problem in promoting white supremacy. Yeah, she definitely has some good stuff. Are you going to be there tonight, Ramses? We're going to go over a quick. Well, I think you know about it. I don't know if you were here before, but when I did this outline, it came to like 7 pages. It was the first chapter. I'm like, oh my God. So when I do my review, really quick review, it's not going to be everything. And I'm hoping that the people who are around, Sandra, hello. Thanks for being here. I'm just doing free streaming, hanging out, talking about a video I'm going to make, which is on how to raise children who care about their fellow citizens. And I have like 55 like goofy ideas that I think work. There's little things that add up. So I'm asking everyone for their like analysis of it or whatever. And Ramses, absolutely. Absolutely, I agree with you. Media is so huge. It's getting better, but it's not. Oh, no, it is not. And it's because we're not better. And when I say we, I mean the white people. We really have to do better. And if you're going to break the cycle of racism at home, it starts with the parents from birth. From the minute your child is born. I'm sorry, it's true. You might think, what? But it does. And it's going to be a lifelong venture. Your child is born, like most children, into a hospital. And, surely it has changed slightly. And things in that regard may be getting in the right way. But it's still pretty damn bad. How do we know this? I mean, must I say? We got Trump to be a president. The senators and politicians support that. It's God. I mean, sometimes I wonder if anything's changed at all, other than just changed in form. Your child's born into a hospital. Very likely your child will be, you will be helped with labor with a white doctor. Very likely the nurse will be white. Okay, now that's changed a little bit. Very likely the help that is cleaning up and cooking and keeping everything running will be a person of color. And that is still very similar and hasn't changed a ton. Your child is being indoctrinated from the minute they're born into white is right. And you might be, what? But yeah, sure, they're a newborn, but I'm telling you, that's how it starts. It just starts from the minute they come out. I'm sorry. It is what it is. The truth is what it is. So here's, teach them the real definition of privilege and what it really means. Not the one that white people use to feel sorry for themselves with or have white fragility. Teach them the real one. It doesn't mean you're rich. It doesn't mean your life's great. It means that your skin tone is not going to cause you further pain and problems. It's actually going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Teach them that at a certain age when it's appropriate. And don't just teach them once. It's developmental, spiral, Teach them a little bit more as they get older. Here's something. This is so obvious, but I don't know if people do this. 20. Teach. Right. Yeah. Yep, definitely. White privilege. That's what we're talking about. 100%. That's what the book's going to, For tonight, I was talking about the book tonight for the first meeting. There's so much in this book. I did 6 pages of outline. I'm like, I can't. I said I was going to do a quick outline, and then the panel's going to talk, not me. So I had to really skip a lot. But white privilege is a sanitized term for racism. Yeah. We have a lot of those, don't we? We have a lot of sanitized terms that we like to. Everything just keeps morphing, people. There's not a lot of changes. It's like it just morphs. Interesting. Just like fear is a sanitized term for hatred. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll think about that. That's an interesting, very interesting. I haven't thought about the second one. Hi, Mr. Fist Black. How's it going? And you guys, we don't have to talk about this if you have something to add, or I'm just doing this because when I first got here, there was no one around, and I'm basically trying to go over Causality is a sanitized term for killing. Interesting. I'm going to have to think about that. Very philosophical. Causality. Dang. Sandra, you're so deep. I'm like, oh my God, I can't think. I've had no sleep. But thank you. This is interesting. Very interesting. My next one, blah. Oh, this is a simple one. And this might be like, no duh, you know. And again, this is, I speak to white people and white parents. I have absolutely no, like, anything to teach people who live this every day and, like, deal with this every day. And how would I know better than them? That being said, these are general things that are kind of obvious. Sandra, hatred is irrational fear that can be that makes sense. That makes sense. Gotcha. That actually really does make sense. So I'll spit it out. Thanks, Sandra. Thank you for your wisdom. I appreciate it. That absolutely, I get that. Causality of war is a sanitized term for killing in war. I see what you're saying. That's so funny. My little girl asked me, I told her how absolutely anti-military, in the sense like, send your kid off to the military, send your kid off to war, because it's a moneymaker for wealthy people. And she goes, what if they wanted to? And I was like, honey, no, I don't raise my kids accidentally. No kid of mine's gonna. I was like, okay, I'll shut up now. She's like, what if they really wanted to? But it was really cute because it's cute that I want her involved in these kind of conversations. But teach your children that being a human. Oh, sure. Hang on 1 second. Being a human on this planet, that we're put here to help make the world a better place. And you know what? If you don't believe that, don't teach them that. But for this, it's just free stream. You can do whatever you wish. Sandra, if you have something to say, absolutely call in anytime. For the free streams on Sunday, I just kind of hang out. And if people come around, I love it. If they say hi, but it's a free for all. So absolutely, if you have something to say, go for it. I got about like 15 minutes left that I'm going to be hanging out because I'm going to get ready for the book chat club tonight at 9 o'clock. Oh, I got to get the number 2, actually. Silly me. You'd think I'd memorize it by now, but oh no. Let me find it. It is... I got it. Almost got it. 1 second. Oh, there it is. Ta-da! There it is. I'll keep going until you call in, but that'd be great. If you want to like explain some of these things further, it's awesome. But this is just my like 2 hours where I do free streaming, and it's anything goes. So teach your children. Oh, here's one. There's like 50 of these. Teach your children to treat themselves with their self-talk the way they would treat a good friend. A lovely good friend. And that's another thing. It's not just treating others well, it's treating yourself well. And I could have used that probably as a little kid. Could have used that a lot. And these are all things that I'm going to make a video about. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Kim? I love your show. I've become a fan. I started following you.
Thank you. Welcome. This is just a free streaming time where I just get to know people and we can talk about anything anybody wants to. Racism, not racism, anything. So what's up? How are you?
Well, I really want to just take an opportunity to thank you for doing this program and for giving people a place where they can talk and exchange, and it's not nearly as hostile as what you find on some of the social media outlets, you know. The point that I was making about white privilege and racism, white privilege feels a lot more comfortable and is even more racist than saying, I get a benefit in this world, in this life, in this society, in my community because of racism. White privilege allows somebody who benefits from racism to not have to say, I benefit from racism. So I will use this term white privilege. But doesn't it mean the same thing? because it really doesn't apply to white people when white people commit acts of violence against other white people. It's just a way of saying, I'm doing better than you simply because I am white. And I think white people don't want to hear that point of view. They don't want to hear that analysis of that term. It's like when people say, I'm afraid of black people. No, you're not afraid of black people. You have a hatred for black people. But I can justify a fear. It's a little harder to justify a hatred. So if I say I'm afraid of those people, even though it's baseless, what are you afraid of? You've got God, you've got government, and you've got guns on your side, but you're afraid of somebody that has none of that?
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. We as white people do not face our world like with that clarity at all. We're like saying that we fear just makes it so, well, that's understandable. It makes it softens it. Right. It doesn't, we don't understand ourselves enough to even we really got a lot of growing up to do. I mean,
but when somebody says to a white person, you're not afraid. You're not afraid. It's like when you see a Karen terrorizing somebody, but all of a sudden she pivots to being the victim. And it doesn't have to be just Karen, because Judy, Sherry, Katinka, Barbara, Edith, Amy, Angela, Janet, all of those names, they're Karens too. At any moment, at the snap of a finger.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. Can I tell you something very, very kind of personal? I didn't when this whole Karen thing, it's been going on since the beginning of time, but now that people have called it out and we have social media, the phenomenon in and of itself is baffling to me. It's like
it's no
evil.
Different than the white woman that can say, that black man whistled at me.
Exactly. It's like
and that black man can be dead first before it's determined he whistled or not.
Absolutely. That the whole
and that technique of keeping black people in their place, keeping black people under control, keeping black people fearful so they stay checked, is a tool that is continuing to be used in the name of, I was so afraid.
For my life.
Being afraid will keep you from going into a dark room. You know what you do when you go into a dark room and you're afraid? You pick up a weapon.
Turn on the light. Or turn on the lights. I mean,
you pick up a weapon because even though your imagination, and I want to say this because I really think maybe your audience might gain some insight from this, people won't go into a dark room because they say, I don't know what's in that room and I'm afraid. So fear doesn't run you into the room. Fear is what makes you exit the room. Fear is what makes you not into the room. But you know what? When you've got a weapon and you feel that you've got power on your side, you'll kick that door down.
You'll use the weapon. And that's, I guess, what I was trying to say. And that makes sense. It's an interesting perspective, and it's a good one. When I finally realized that this was a thing, I'm being absolutely dead serious. Because I was raised in a little bubble. I thought, I didn't know people were that evil on this earth. Like, I was like, oh my God.
But that evil has been there. That evil is generational. Yeah. That evil is tradition, and that evil has been preserved. Yeah. Any person calling the police on a person of color simply because they know that they can get away with it, and this happened to me. I had a woman, rather than drive around my car when I had flashes on my car because I was unloading my vehicle, instead of her driving around my car, she called the police. And when the police showed up, she said, I spat in her face because the police showing up wasn't enough for her. So she needed more red meat. But the people standing around said, that woman never spat in her face. That's not true.
Wow. It's a total power grab.
There was no one around. What if there were no people around to defend me?
Yeah, then you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. Yep.
Ever.
That says it all.
And the venue that I was working at, somebody said, well, it's not right to spit in somebody's face. And I stopped the white waiter and I said to him, excuse me, when did you see me spit in somebody's face? So just like that, you take her word for it?
Wow. Yep,
yes,
just like
like that. And that is the power of whiteness,
Yep.
and that is how collective whiteness is used to silence and suffocate black or non-white voices when they are saying, I need you to take your knee off of my neck.
God, that is an excellent point. That it's like that little boy. Remember the little boy that walked down with the elevator with his father, who's a jazz musician, and some lady goes, "You took my," some white lady says, "You took my cell phone." He's like, and right away the
manager immediately sided with her.
Yep, immediately. That is what you're talking about.
Immediately sided with her.
Classic.
Or when you go, or the family that went out to the Nike store and had a receipt, but the manager said, I think you stole that ball. And you know what? I am guilty until I can prove I am innocent.
Yep. And that
responsibility is on white people. I have said this before, I will say it again. There is no equality in being a minority, because as long as you think of me as a minority, I am an other. And I, as an American citizen, should be allowed to live in this country as exactly that. And it's not that big of a stretch. All you have to do is recognize me as an American, just like you. And then my ethnicity is no longer an issue.
Yeah, we're so far from that right now. God, we are so far from that. It's unbelievable. That's excellent.
I would not be I am only in America. Ellis Island didn't invite my family to come here and create a better life. I am here by default. And you know what? Hey, America, what if black people said, I tell you what, let's have an exchange. You guys, and take your Bible with you, and you leave Africa, and we'll all go back to Africa. And whatever's there, we'll rebuild from there, and you can have what's here. Why, if she doesn't want us here so much, why not create a situation where we can go back to where nobody disputes we come from? Because nobody disputes we came from Africa. We know this. And let me say this to those people out there listening to my voice. Please don't ever say to a black person, well, your own people sold you into slavery. Let me tell you why you should never do that. Because even if the Africans sold other Africans into slavery, why were you, God-fearing Europeans, in the business of buying human beings?
Right. It's totally, once again, taking the blame on putting it on.
And if you bought those human beings and made them slaves, you could have bought those human beings and set them free.
Absolutely.
So don't put that just at the feet of the Africans that supposedly sold their people into slavery, because they could not sell what you were not buying.
Absolutely.
And you were buying human beings. So you say. I find it extraordinary that if you were buying human beings, that you needed to chain them and net them in the belly of boats and bring them to another land and strip them of their language, their culture, access to any knowledge, health care, employment. And you have done this generation after generation after generation after generation.
Yep.
So you cannot blame just your forefathers, because you are keeping that tradition alive by choice.
Absolutely. And there's that's one of the huge classic cliche denials is, black people did it too. It's like, seriously? That's like a 3-year-old's
You didn't have to buy them. And hey, if you were buying black people, you could have said, we're going to buy these people, and we're going to bring them to America, and we're going to treat them better than you treat them. We're going to treat them the way God said to treat our brothers and our sisters.
Yeah.
Because once those Africans were here, it wasn't the Africans over there dictating the treatment that they received here.
Right.
And I have yet to see any written documentation, any receipts from those African kings and queens and kingdoms and tribes that says, brand my people and beat my people and chain my people and lynch my people and rape my people.
Terrorize them.
I've not seen that.
Generation after generation, right? No. Excellent points. It's interesting the way you broke it down. I like it. When I talk to people about that particular classic cliche, obnoxious, racist denial, I don't break it down that much. I don't even get, for some reason, I really like that you broke it down. It's interesting. I'm going to have to think about that, because I find it so obnoxious that it's like, I don't even condone
It
it
is
with
the
an answer.
sanitizing of the truth that has to stop. I don't understand why black people in America needed to be renamed African Americans. My passport does not say African American; it says American.
Mm-hmm. And when you go to another country, you're an American.
Labels that we need to stop. It's those labels that we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
If you don't want racism, you cannot have systemic racism without racist. Somebody has to be the racist. So when you say, I'm not a racist, well, show me you're not a racist. What white person does not call other black people minorities? It's so normalized, it's so ingrained in them. Well, that's not racist, but yes, it is. Yes, it is racist. It's extremely racist. It's more racist than using the word nigger. And the reason I don't say N-word is because you can say N-word 100 times a day, reinforcing the idea, but I know what you're really saying. But I'm going to sanitize it so I can even use it in excess. Whereas if I actually said the word, I probably couldn't do that anymore.
Interesting philosophy.
It's the workaround that we have to get rid of. It's the workaround that we have to annihilate and say to ourselves, I will not participate in this anymore. I won't laugh when I hear you tell a joke that you know and I know is racist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you not to have a sense of humor. Victor Borga had a great sense of humor, and he never made a racist joke.
Somebody's saying, Marcus in the shadows saying, Sandra Brooker, I feel the same way about the term African American too. And I know a lot of people do. For white folks, it's a really tough thing because no,
it's not.
We can't.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Why can't you call me a Negro? Why did Negro fall out of vogue? Because you cannot sanitize. When you say Negro, it is hard to sanitize the term Negro.
No, I know what you're saying.
We don't want to deal with that truth anymore. So you know what? We will call them African Americans because African American is not tied to the history of lynching and rape and church bombing. Right. But the newspapers back then used to say a Negro church was bombed, a Negro man was lynched, a Negro woman was beaten. I don't want to deal with that truth, so let's just call them African American. African American is not on my birth certificate. So who decided I should be renamed?
Well, actually, it was this. Wasn't it the some of the people who were the leaders who decided to try to? Well, what I'm trying.
What leaders?
Well, there's a history.
But when people say leaders, Jesse Jackson is not the leader of all black people.
Well, I know, but for some reason he got the power and prestige to.
Because it was a ruse to sanitize the history of this white nation.
No, I know.
And when you're running for president, maybe you want to, change the narrative so that you can run for president.
Right.
How am I watching a documentary about the treatment of black people in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and now you're calling all of those people African American? We weren't African Americans at the turn of the century.
Right, they're euphemisms to lighten them, just like anything else.
Exactly. Let me sugarcoat the pill so it goes down easily. No, but it doesn't mean you didn't just give me arsenic.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you at all. Part of the problem for me personally as a white person who does this is nothing I say is going to be right with everybody. I get shit. If I say Negro, people lose their freaking shit. If I say African American, sometimes they do. If I say minority, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If I say black, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's like, I ain't winning no matter what I do, which I get.
But guess what? If you say American, you get rid of all those problems.
Right. And it's really hard.
If you say my American brothers and sisters of Afro descent, you get rid of all of those problems.
But then somebody says, when you say Afro, they get really pissed. That's a hair. What are you doing? They get, I have had everything. So, I mean, it's really hard to.
No, actually, I'm telling you it's not. I'm telling you it's not.
It's
really not hard. Because the moment you start thinking of me as an American, nobody has a problem with Russian Americans or Jewish Americans because you know what they're called? Americans. Why do I need to be identified? Why does my nationality and my ethnicity need to be tied together?
No, I get that. I'm not saying that it's not. But for me, as a white person who speaks about this in front of a lot of people, nobody is ever happy with any word I use. So
we were just fine with black because black meant strong. Black meant panther. black meant proud. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Now, I use black
and
a lot,
I
but
can be from Africa. I can be from the Netherlands. You have black people who are born in Japan.
Absolutely.
Konnichiwa. You have black people born in France, but we are still people of the black continent.
right. And you know, it's interesting. Somebody came on the show, this actual program, and said the exact opposite 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh my God. Like, if you put me in that category. I was like, oh my God. Not me personally, but they were philosophizing about it. So I was just like, damn, I don't know if T was here or Pat was here or somebody. This guy was going on and on and on about it. And he was talking about all this stuff. And I'm thinking, but everyone has, it's such a, I'm not
But
saying
it wouldn't even exist. It wouldn't even exist. It wouldn't even exist if white America decided, you know what, if we're all Americans, we need to put this to rest.
Absolutely. It's
and just call him American.
Right. I agree 100%.
And he's not a minority. He's not a minority because he is an American, and that makes him as equal as me.
Right.
But as long as you can make me the other, then you can place the blame on those people. They're taking my money. They're taking my benefits because they're not like me. You're more
I get that.
You are more inclined to share with people like yourself. So as long as you can make me different, you can say, I don't want to share with those people. You never hear white people saying, I don't want to share with other white people. I don't want other white people going to colleges and universities and getting doctorates and conducting orchestras. We should be embarrassed every time we hear the term, oh, the first black woman or the first black man in 35 years or ever.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%, Sarah. I am not disagreeing. But the problem is society will pounce just as hard back at you for not doing that. So it's like, it's really tough. Our society needs to stop being so damn racist, and we won't have this problem. We'll all be Americans. But I don't know. Are we there yet? I mean, we have people who don't even believe.
But she doesn't want to be there. And and somebody should tell her that. You don't want to be that. Facebook has shut me down for 30 days because I defended Meghan Markle. And this is what I said. Never from an imbecile, so noted. That's what I said. And for those, 6 words, I am banned for 30 days from Facebook.
Well, they're so racist, it's not even funny. It's
because the idea is, how dare you defend a black woman? There is nothing bullying in that statement. There is nothing racist in that statement. Mm-hmm. There is nothing threatening in that statement. There is nothing harassing in that statement. But how dare you defend this woman? And so just like we want to silence her, we're going to silence you too. This is from a guy who stole a company from a friend, who has exploited it in the worst of ways, and who said on national television in front of Congress, Facebook should not be the arbiter of the truth.
Yeah.
Those are your words, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, no,
Those are your
he's a horrible human being.
words.
I agree. He's
So
unconscionable.
if you're not there to be the arbiter of the truth, then why are you blocking anybody from saying anything? This is a platform that allows for the planning of an insurrection against the government of the United States. And you are going to block a person using your platform for saying, never from an imbecile, so noted.
Yeah, no, the man's unconscionable.
For 30 days.
He absolutely has an agenda. He's met with Trump a number of times with his agenda. He is he's a very bad man, and he's full of shit. And he has a lot of power right now. I can't wait till they just chop up his company and separate it like AT&T.
He owns Instagram too.
Yeah,
But imagine if a guy used a platform like that, not to silence voices, but really to give voice to what is true. Because social media has been used, specifically Facebook, to create so much dissent, to create so much division, to create so much hostility. And then we punish the people that speak against that.
Right. Well, Sandra, I know you're aware probably very much of Cambridge Analytica and how the information that Zuckerberg ended up giving by accident, he was fined millions of dollars, but big whoopee deal, was what won Trump because he was a client of Cambridge Analytica's and Data Propia, and they Zuckerberg directly helped him win his first election by using psyops against Americans.
Right, because Barack Obama so brilliantly used Facebook as a way to galvanize young people, and when they realized the power of galvanizing young people, they flipped the script and decided to use Facebook to polarize everybody.
Well, it's also
and that's where we are now.
It's also what got Brexit going. Trump saw what this company did with Brexit and the polarization of and the lies using data information and psychological operations that are military they're used on military. And a lot of people don't realize this. This was absolutely planned, and people were brainwashed. And it is not a wonder. Using Zuckerberg, absolutely, I believe, is completely complicit in this crime, and he's completely full of shit. You know, so that's
and now you have to appeal, and you can disagree, and I'm saying to myself, but show me where I've violated your community. These are your community standards. Yeah. This violates your community standards. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not bullying anybody. I'm not harassing anybody. And based on what you say is the criteria for all of these things, you shut somebody down for 30 days, because they said, never from an imbecile.
Yeah, I have many friends who have had this happen.
And I took a screenshot of it. I'll send it to you. I took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, no, you sent it. You did it one time. It's definitely huge.
None of these things change until the American people, not the American white people, and not the American black people, and not the American brown people. The American people have to decide what kind of society we want to be. And a lot of that really depends on white people being able to be told and checked when you're doing something racist. If you don't know, let me tell you. And if I've shown you, and your response is to say I'm being hostile towards you, I'm an angry black woman, I'm an angry black man, then what you're saying is, I don't want to hear you tell me that what I am doing is wrong.
Yeah, well,
as long as that is the way that things are done, nothing can change.
Yeah, we addressed that tonight. Actually, tonight in the book, we address exactly that. And it's like almost the preschool for white people to be ready to drop their freaking egos and start caring and listening and working on this. And that's
changing. Just change.
Yeah.
Just change.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what?
Yeah.
If I've got all this privilege, why do I have this privilege? Because I live in a society that is racist, and no matter what I do, they're going to give me a pass. And what I want to do is I want to use this privilege that I have and I brag about and I'm fully aware of.
Right.
But you can't say you don't know if you turn around. I didn't know it was this way, but you say you have privilege. So if you have a privilege that you know I don't have, why would you not want me to have it as well?
Well, that's what I always tell the white folks is the one thing you can do with your white privilege is use it to help support equity and justice for your fellow humans. And that's
all it's about.
That's what it's supposed to be. That's what I do.
If you do what is just, and you treat me in a way that is just, I'm going to love you, because people usually don't hate the people that treat them in a way that is just. It is when you treat me in a way that is not just that I have anger and frustration and high blood pressure and people snap out.
And you have every right to have that.
Abuse themselves and abuse the people around them.
Yeah, you have every right to. I would too. I'd feel the same damn way too. And like a caller we had on before was saying how bad she felt because she snapped at somebody who called her a monkey. I was like, you shouldn't feel bad. They should feel bad. Don't. It's like, oh my God. It's like we have been trained to appease to white people. No, stop it. It's us.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point about Facebook blocking me for 30 days.
How dare they?
And if you have a business and your business is run through Facebook, then you know what? Now they're affecting your ability to have income.
Well,
and they can do that.
Yeah,
and
I know.
About that. If you've got a fan page and you can't post or you can't communicate with people, what am I being punished for? Because I think it's disgusting to call the Duchess of Sussex a bedwench. I mean, let me just say this and I'm going to get off your line.
No, it's okay.
I wish people would take a moment, but particularly because we're going to be having that interview tonight with Oprah Winfrey with Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle. Let me remind people of this. That is the son of a woman of pedigree and real privilege proper English upbringing. That is the son of the woman whose husband had an affair with the woman that Prince Harry now calls stepmother.
Yeah. So what do you...
And he saw what his countrymen, his subjects, did to his mother, who was not a half-black woman, who had never been an actress.
Right.
He saw what they did to his own mother and the sport they made of destroying her. So if that young man decided, you know what, I know what you did to my mother, and my mother was a Spencer, I as a husband and as a father and as a man will not allow you to do this to my family and to do this to me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
And that's a big sea change because he has told the world, what you did to my mother, what you did to my family, I won't allow you to do it to me and the family I've chosen to create.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Because he wasn't forced to marry Meghan Markle.
No.
He chose to marry her. And he chose not to let her be his mistress or his bed wench or his side chick. No, I married you on the world stage. I've got no secrets here. My love is real. And rather than us as a country and as a society celebrating the fact that two people from such different backgrounds could find love and have love and enjoy love and love one another, we would rather destroy it. What does that really say about us?
Yeah, no, we are very, very horrific to our fellow humans. There's nobody's doubting that. At least nobody I know, nobody I talk with. Yeah, it's bad. Excellent.
You were very kind to let me call and talk.
No problem.
I really appreciate your point of view on things. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I wish anybody out there that's listening, if you really want to see things change, start with yourself. Do I participate in things that were going to make life harder for somebody else? People need to understand we're all going to live and we're all going to die. Why would you want someone to live in misery?
Exactly.
When you can let them live in joy?
Why would you spend your short amount of time we're on this earth making life more difficult for your fellow humans?
For somebody else.
Yeah,
especially if you want joy, if you want happiness,
Yeah.
if you want a good marriage, if you want to live in a safe neighborhood, if you want to go to good schools, if you want to be compensated for your work and your contribution to your job, your career, why would you even want to deny that to somebody else? And especially based on something as uncontrollable as the color of their skin.
It's ridiculous.
Or having a different culture,
Right,
or
it's
speaking
ridiculous.
a different language.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's why I do what I do.
Shameful.
That's why I do what I do. Because I can't stand it. And I'm not going to sit and watch it and do nothing.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for letting me have my Sunday rant.
Absolutely. No, it's great. That's what I'm here for.
I appreciate it. You're very kind for that. And keep doing, onward and upward. I just want you to know that there are people out here listening to you who appreciate what it is that you're doing. It can feel very thankless when you're speaking out against what is wrong and speaking on behalf of what is right. That can feel very lonely because people don't want to hear it.
They don't.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh,
That's great courage.
You never have to thank me.
That spends a lot of your privilege. That's how you're
That's what I
spending a
want
lot
people
of your
to.
privilege.
I want people to see you don't talk about it. You do something about it. If you have privilege, you use it to help. And if you help one
So
person,
that we all have privilege.
then you've done
so
it.
that we're all privileged to be Americans.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be some people are privileged to be America.
It's ridiculous.
If America is so great, prove it. If she is really what you say she is, prove it.
Exactly.
And once you've proven it, we don't need to have the conversation anymore. Just prove it.
Sandra,
prove it that we are a great nation, that we are a great people,
That's
that
what
we
kills
are
me the
generous.
most is this nation could be a great nation. We just don't want it to be. And it's disgusting because we have the potential. We have the ability. But this systemic racism it's a sick thing. And that's what makes me even more disgusted. This nation could be freaking amazing. But with the white people, we have a white person problem in this country. That's all I'll say. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my friend.
This is
Take good care.
All right, you too. Thanks for calling in. Bye. That was my friend. She's always full of wisdom, agree, disagree, but listening to what she has to say has to help us think and respect her for having come up with these opinions over time, and use her wisdom to help yourself grow. You don't have to love everything, agree 100% with everything. But this is a woman who lives today, as we speak, in a system of incredible racism that is relentless. And this is her wisdom. So we got to learn from her. It is a gift for her to come on, a gift. And for white people listening, we have to think about this as a gift. Okay? She has no obligation. She has zero obligation to teach. You know, I teach white folks. I don't teach other people. Okay? She has zero obligation to come on here and give of her energy and her emotion and her wisdom. So it is a gift. So if you're a white person watching and, it's kind of like, wow, it is a gift. And until you start thinking of it that way, I'm not saying you have to, I agree with every word she said. No, you don't have to. Hear her words. Understand her words. Try to allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to feel her pain vicariously, if it is at all possible. And it's a gift she's taught us. And I thank her for that very, very much. And all of the people here who give of their emotional self and energy. You don't have to. You're not obligated to educate the oppressor. Give me a break. It is a gift. And white folks need to start thinking about that way. And it's a very different shift in thinking. So that's just a thought. Marcus. So anyway, thank you, Sandra, for coming on. And it's absolutely, I don't need to be thanked for anything. I do this for me. So the reward is in and of itself. Nobody ever needs to thank me for acting human. I appreciate it. Now, this is called acting human. You see something happening that's profoundly wrong on a systemic level, and you say, I don't know what I can do, but I'm not going to sit and do nothing. That's all. It's as simple as that. If you don't know what you can do, you learn and you figure out and you try something. You don't sit and watch, because that's condoning it. And that's basically, you might as well be doing it yourself. Marcus, in the shadows. Racism is draining, so I totally understand. Think about, thank you, Marcus, exactly. Think about, yes, it's draining, but for me, it's a choice. I am a white person. I can pretend I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have to do this. No one's forcing me. No one has a gun to my head. Nobody says they're going to be cruel to me. No one's going to have power over me. I don't have to do this. It's a choice. And that is a huge difference. People who are under the guise of this system, they're not given the choice. Unless they want to stay in their room and under a rock and never, give me a break. If they are to live and have some sort of life, they aren't given a choice. And that is incredibly, incredibly sick. So thank you, Marcus, for pointing that out. And thanks, Sandra, and everybody who's listening. This time, from 3 to 5, you'd think it was like a show or something, but it's not. It's just a time that I come on each week. And I won't be here next week, but I will very rarely skip. And it's free streaming. I just come on and I want to get to know people. I don't want to just be preaching to white folks constantly. I want to get to know people who help educate. I want to get to know people who want to learn. And so 3 to 5 every Sunday, except for not next week. I'm going to go out of town for a little bit. Come on and talk to me. I want to know who you are. And I have such little time because I work so many, I have my crazy life and like everyone does. And I have such little time to get to know people on a human level. So please just come by, say hi. If you're busy, just drop in, go. I'll always have something that I'm doing. If nobody comes, I'll just kick back. Like today, when there wasn't anyone here at the very beginning, I went over some notes that I have for some videos I want to do on how to raise kids, global children of the world, how to raise children who care, how to raise kids who care about their fellow citizens. And I went over it, and then some people started coming and they started telling me all these great ideas they had and adding to my ideas, and I can't thank you enough. And I have 55 things I'm going to have to pick and choose and do a couple top 10s. So it was, and I got to hear what they thought, and thank you so much. It's a free-for-all. Call, talk, talk about whatever you want. Just tell me how your day's going. Tell me how you're handling COVID. Tell me what your family's up to. Anything. I want to be connected. It really matters to me. So I'm going to take off because tonight is the first book club meeting. And silly me, I outlined it, and I'm going to do, if you want to come tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern, we are going to go chapter by chapter. This is a very dense book. Yes, it is geared towards white folks. White folks who know there's something going on, maybe want to learn, kind of on the beginner side, although there's some advanced stuff in here. It's not just for beginners. When I say beginners, people who are finally opening up to the idea that we live in a society that's built on and preyed upon on and everything on systemic racism. And this is, it takes a village to raise a kid. Remember that? There is some truth to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if we have some white folks come into this, thank you so much. If we do, thank you, I Am Legend. You're awesome. They're there to learn. And that's the first step. And we're going to talk a lot about very, very basic things. So if you're a black person and you're like, oh geez, not this, you're there to teach, really. You may learn something by chance, but maybe not, but you're there to teach. So it is really going to be geared towards, the first couple of chapters are really elementary, talking about the defensiveness and just understanding. We got a lot of growing up to do. So we have a big white person problem in this country, and I want to be part of the solution, if only just a teeny bit. I want to help. So I'm starting this book club. I am not going to be the person in the book club who runs it. I'm going to be the host. So that's why I have a panel. And it's going to be a lot of information, a lot of dense information in a small amount of time. The author ended up having an introduction. I'm going to kill her. Sorry, just kidding. An introduction, a great forward, a great introduction, a great, oh my gosh. She had so many parts before we get to chapter 1, which is also really great, that I had 7 pages of notes of just notes. So I'm really going to have to skip a lot of stuff. And I'm going to ask people on the panel to just tell us what they think about these are people on the panel who live this. And I want them to talk to us and tell us what they think and how their experience has been, and if this sounds kind of spot on or what. And you can write in and ask them questions, but it's not going to be like, I don't want it to be like something that I'm really like in. There's nobody better to teach this than the people who live it. The sad part is some white folks, that they're so far gone that they'll only even barely listen to a white person. So it's a really disgusting phenomenon, but it is what it is. That's why if you're white, you got to use your white privilege to support our fellow humans for equity. Let's make liberty and justice for all actually mean something other than just a joke. Empty words that are lovely but will never be fulfilled. So anyway, please come tonight if you know any white folks who... Thank you, Marcus in the Shadows. I'd love for you to be there. It should be interesting. It is going to be for white people who are going to step up to the plate and try to learn, because it's a lifelong learning. We'll never get there. I will never get it all the way. But it doesn't mean I don't keep trying. It doesn't mean I say, well, tough beans for me, So it's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle. It's not a little hobby. It's not a picture on Facebook. It's if you truly care about your fellow humans and yourself. Because white people, the general masses, unless you are one of the wealthiest elites, you don't benefit from racism. You just think you do. So, speech over. Please join me tonight. We'll do the best we can to get through any issues here and there. It's my first time doing a book club. I'm excited for the panelists. And, tonight might go a little bit longer than usual, but I'll do a quick summary. And then the panelists will say what they want to say, talk to each other, and answer questions to them. So hopefully I'll be just hanging out, kind of like being a host. All right. So thank you so much for being here. I won't be here next week, but absolutely from then on I will. This is Sunday free streaming, and it's turned out really amazing. So far, not a week's gone by where I haven't had people calling in, people talking to me, people helping me, and getting to know people. That's what I want. I want connection. I want to know you. I mean, I love that people watch my videos and subscribe and get what I'm trying to do. Like, get white people to, step up to the plate. But I want to know you. Oh, I am legend. Absolutely. My honor. I don't want to just like talk at people. I want to know who you are as a human. So this is my 2 hours where say whatever you want, do whatever you want. All right. Of course, it's been 2.5 hours now. I'm going to go grab some food and get ready for tonight. So panelists are starting at 8, and then the show starts at 9 Eastern. And I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm going to give it a shot because I think it's worth it. This learning, you know what? If you learn one thing, or if you help somebody else learn one thing, for me, that means my life is complete because you've done something good for the next generation. And it's really what we're here for. And I'm not religious, not even close, but I truly believe we're put on this earth to make it a better place for everybody. So thanks for listening, and maybe I'll see you tonight. If you want to be totally supportive to what I'm doing, I would appreciate it so much. And you can't come tonight, or, people have lives. I get that. Think of somebody who might want to come. They might be afraid to come. For us white folks, this is a very scary thing. It's our worst fear. Oh my God, I don't want someone to think. And I get that. But it's our job, our responsibility to take racial responsibility. And you gotta learn how to find your voice. And maybe don't say a word, just listen and think, why is this so disturbing to me? Why? And if that's all you do, then you're one step closer. It's a long continuum. The anti-racism continuum, it's really steep. And it's painful. And you're gonna go through some discomfort. But you know what? You're not gonna die from it. Systemic racism kills and destroys and traumatizes and terrorizes. There's no comparison. We'll survive. Just got to be brave. All right. I will see you tonight. Thanks for being there. Don't be a stranger. And keep in touch. And I promise I will try always to get back to people. I get about 100 messages a day, so I'm always behind. But thanks for being here. Maybe I'll see you tonight. So invite somebody that you think could benefit. I know it's hard nowadays, but I appreciate you. All right. Bye, guys. Food. Get me food. Bye.